Coming up next on Making Moves, we'll take you to the National Autonomous Vehicle Day celebration as hundreds of transit professionals converge at JTA's Armsdale Test and Learn Center to see the latest in autonomous technology.
The ability to create jobs that didn't exist before, the ability to access parts of the community that didn't exist before, and the ability to access things that don't exist today, but we're building a pathway to get there.
We'll tell you why a busload of JTA employees were touring Northwest Jacksonville and what it could mean for residents there.
And we're asking ourselves, what can we do to improve services for our users, our passengers?
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared should a severe storm hit our area? Eugene Lindsay helps get you ready.
We have 4 designated pickup spots that residents can go straight to be transported to a shelter.
And a couple of former Making Moves anchors get new jobs. We'll show you what they're doing now. These stories and more right now on an all-new Making Moves.
Welcome to Making Moves. I'm Bill Milnes. Thanks for joining us today. We begin in North Jacksonville at JTA's Armsdale Autonomous Vehicle Test and Learn Center, where more than 300 transit professionals gathered for a huge National Autonomous Vehicle Day event, and nearly 450 more watched the live stream. The event was co-hosted by JTA and Guidant, an AV and AI tech company based in Boca Raton, and one of JTA's partners in its Ultimate Urban Circulator project. We begin our coverage with guest speaker Ron Brooks, founder and CEO of Accessible Avenue. Brooks, who's legally blind, specializes in meeting the needs of people with disabilities. Brooks told the National AV Day crowd how his first ride on an autonomous vehicle was life-changing for both he and his wife, who is also blind.
I got to spend some time working with the USDOT, did an innovation a design challenge. And the focus was accessibility. And we talked as an industry about things like how are we going to teach folks with disabilities, how are we going to get them to use this technology, how are we going to help people find vehicles, use apps if there are apps involved, navigate to and from the vehicle, board, ride, exit, all the things that you all are working on. We had conversations, and I'm betting that some of you were in those conversations with me during the worst of the pandemic as we were all sitting around in our home offices on Zoom. This stuff was advancing, as you all know, and still for me though, transportation was still tough. I was still, we would take public transit, we would walk around the neighborhood and do all those things, but transportation was still something that was still a little bit hard. And then it all changed. And I have on the next slide here, I have a fun little video. If you could go ahead and play that. So this is Ron. I'm here with Lisa. Say hi, Lisa.
Hi.
So we're sitting in a Waymo, and that's the
tell me you were going to take a video.
lovely driver's seat here. It's all nice and empty. And here's York sitting down here, all comfy and relaxed. And here's Lisa, terrified in the back seat. And here you can just watch out the driver's window.
No,
as we
people
just
are going to think you're like some weird voyeur.
Just kind of rolling along here. We're going to make a left-hand turn.
Proceeding on East Highland Avenue.
On East Highland, I'm thinking we might take the freeway, but maybe not. Let's see where we go. We have no idea where this thing is going. There's the front. Hopefully you're not seeing any terrifying driving here going on.
Well, Phoenix.
What you're probably seeing is, and if we look behind, which can't do, I don't have the good angle on, you probably see cars backed up and people annoyed because this thing is actually driving the speed limit. But anyway, we're going to dinner, gonna have a nice time, maybe a little bit of drink. And this, my friends, is something that I wrote about 4 years ago called Self-Driving Cars and Date Night. It is date night and we're in a self-driving car. Thank you very much. So let me tell you why this is so significant. So how many of you, by noise, since I can't see you, how many of you have been married for, say, more than 20 years? Okay, cool. So my wife and I are going to celebrate our 27th anniversary in July of this year. That video was, that was a video that I made for Facebook. It was not intended for public distribution. My wife did give me permission. I shot that video in January of this year, in January of 2023. I met my wife in July of 1994. Between 1994 and I just want you to think about this, those of you who've been married for a long time. From 1994 in July until January of this year, 2023, that's almost 29 years. We had never been in a vehicle by ourselves. Never.
What an amazing story. It really gives you a sense of the life-changing power of this technology. Now, moving on, Making Moves senior correspondent Eugene Lindsay continues our coverage with a look at the fascinating discussion on the barriers, challenges, and opportunities associated with driving innovation like AV and AI technology.
We take those things for granted.
With its compass always focused on the future of mass transit, the Jacksonville Transportation Authority assembled a panel of guests during their recent National Autonomous Vehicle Day event to discuss where this new cutting-edge development in mass transportation is headed and to consider the technology and policy challenges they will likely encounter on the road ahead.
We want to explore the benefits of various technologies for our society and discuss those challenges and opportunities. So that's what we're about to do.
JTA's Angie Williams was the moderator and led the panel discussion. She's the program manager for JTA's Ultimate Urban Circulator initiative.
First question to my panel.
The panel is comprised of guests representing two different autonomous mobility solutions companies, Avi and Beep, and the executive director of the North Florida Transportation Planning Organization.
What are the benefits of autonomous vehicle technology from your perspective, primarily when you look at the organizations that you lead?
It's access. And when I think about the word access, it's not just getting me from point A to point B to eventually to point Z. It's access to opportunity that didn't exist before. So the ability to create jobs that didn't exist before, the ability to access parts of the community that didn't exist before, and the ability to access things that don't exist today, but we're building a pathway to get there.
And building the public's acceptance to embrace and utilize autonomous mobility is just a bump in the road they feel confident they can smooth over with the right approach.
I think the challenge is that a lot of regulators don't compare driverless or for that matter technology as such. They don't compare to average human driver. They compare to perfect world. This is something that, and there is no such thing as perfect world.
If you flip it to purpose, tell me your problem statement. Let's see what sort of technology or data will solve that problem statement. Right. Then you're only attacking it from an issue standpoint that already resonates.
I firmly believe 100%, I mean, JTA in the first phase of the Bay Street Innovation Corridor and the U2C project is full evidence of that, is that you are going to start to move these programs from pilots into programs, mainly because you're going to have greater ability to access them and experience them. If you have the ability for people to touch, see, smell, and feel it and experience it, they understand it. They have that level of readiness, and then readiness will then drive the policy and purpose, right? But first, you have to have an understanding of, okay, I see the why you want to do it.
Well, I think objectively, it's not very difficult to make a machine better than human in some manual tasks. For example, doubling sensors, makes sense that the machine is never like fading attention away, or the machine is never drunk, or whatever are the biggest causes of the traffic accidents. You can eliminate them in terms of technology.
And because of this kind of technology that has a focus on safety, they believe that driverless vehicles could actually lower the number of accidents reduce stress of commuting, and make travel more sustainable. In North Jacksonville at the JTA's Test and Learn facility, Eugene Lindsay, JTA, making moves.
We'll have more from the National AV Day event a little later in the show as producer Carlos Bouvier takes us to the demonstration center to see some of the latest AV technology being produced right now. So stay tuned for that. A familiar face to fans of this program has made Jacksonville history. Former Making Moves anchor Donna Deegan became the first ever woman to be elected mayor of Jacksonville. You may remember Deegan anchored this show for more than 6 years before leaving to run for office. In preparation for running the city, she recently met with JTA CEO Nat Ford to hear about the authority's plans for the future. The new mayor was sworn in on July 1st. And another former Making Moves anchor, Joyce Morgan Danford, who just completed her second term on Jacksonville City Council, was sworn in as the city's new property appraiser. Congratulations to our Making Moves alumni. Everyone's doing great things. In other news, the Jacksonville Jaguars unveiled their plans to renovate Everbank Stadium that would dramatically change the entire sports and entertainment district.
We need to get to an agreement that makes sense for the city, that makes sense for the citizens, that makes sense for the Jaguars, and also one that we can get 75% of NFL owners to approve.
Team President Mark Lamping and owner Shad Khan held a series of public meetings to talk about the plans and the nearly $2 billion cost, half of which the team is expecting the city to pay. The presentation featured a video showing the new features Jaguar fans could expect, including a roof to protect the fans from the oftentimes brutal Florida sun. The Jaguars also want to build a new mixed-use entertainment complex similar to its failed Lot J proposal. The potential loss of parking around the stadium means that the JTA's Game Day Express will become an even more important option for those fans hoping to get to the game and do it for a reasonable price.
Still to come on this edition of Making Moves. We'll tell you why a busload of JTA employees were touring Northwest Jacksonville and what it could mean for residents there. It's hurricane season and the tropics are already heating up. Our Eugene Lindsay helps get you ready should a storm head our way. Then later, we head back to the National AV Day celebration and check out some of the best autonomous vehicle demonstrations on display. These stories still to come.
Jacksonville is a slower pace here, a place where you can raise kids in a nice environment, quiet, and slow pace, and there's a lot of activities for kids to do out here, and adults. Southern hospitality is definitely a real thing here. It is common for passengers to get on the bus and say good morning to everyone, and everyone would say good morning back.
This is definitely a community service type of job. So many people that depend on JTA as their only mode of transportation, or even a more convenient mode of transportation. It makes you feel good knowing I'm helping somebody each and every day.
Came to JTA actually looking for a better job, better pay. I had 3 daughters. I was basically a single mom. It had good benefits, good pay, flexible hours.
Driving is a passion of mine. I'm happy that I made the choice to become a JTA operator. Customer service is my thing, and I get to drive at the same time. That's right up my alley.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm missing this.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
You're watching Making Moves, honored by the American Public Transportation Association with its 2022 First Place Ad Wheel Award for Excellence in Electronic Media.
Welcome back to Making Moves. As part of the Local Option Gas Tax extension, The JTA set a goal to improve hundreds of its bus stops and make other infrastructure improvements throughout the city. And while it might be easier to just sit around in the office and make decisions on what to do and where to do it, JTA is taking a let's go see it for ourselves approach. As Making Moves correspondent Vicky Gutierrez shows us, key members of the JTA team hopped on a bus and went on a tour. Stop number one was in the area with the most need, Northwest Jacksonville.
But there's nothing like getting out there and seeing it for yourself.
You could call it a bus ride with purpose.
The whole team, as well as our program management consultants, we are taking a tour.
What looks like a typical route is in reality a group of leaders across JTA representing everyone from capital construction to customer service and engagement and to safety and security. They're here to literally put themselves in the seats and shoes of their riders, specifically those in Northwest Jacksonville.
We're riding on all of the routes in the Northwest Jacksonville area. We're looking at the bus stops. We're getting out and we're asking ourselves, what can we do to improve services for our users, our passengers?
Senior Vice President for System Development, Greer Gillis, says that through the local option gas tax, the JTA has set aside $37 million for improvements and enhancements in the Northwest Jacksonville quadrant.
So we wanted to take an opportunity, create some equity, and make some equitable infrastructure improvements in this area.
So rather than sitting behind a desk, they're getting out.
This one right here, it looks like it's got a little concrete extension.
And coming up with solutions.
We also could put a button, like a phone where they can contact control or 911.
You know, it's one thing when you're in your office doing diligent work, but you're missing the context. You're missing the context of how our bus stops and our hubs are truly being utilized by the people in the community.
So when you look at your boardings, that's where you want your shelters at.
In the end, Gillis says tours like this are what make JTA about much more than buses.
But being here, we see now we're experiencing what they experience when they use our services.
She says this shows that JTA is about people and improving their experiences as riders and as a community.
If I may, hey guys, what do you think about this tour?
It's awesome.
Yeah!
In Northwest Jacksonville, Vicky Gutierrez, JTA, Making Moves.
There you go. They said it for themselves.
Compared to other Florida cities, Jacksonville has been pretty lucky when it comes to severe weather. I'm sure we've had our share of flooding, falling trees, and other weather-related issues, but overall, we've done okay, and that might be the problem. Doing okay means too many of us might not be prepared when severe weather or worse, a hurricane does decide to pay a visit to Jacksonville in Northeast Florida. So we wanted to help get you ready. Here once again is Making Moves senior correspondent Eugene Lindsay.
So far, the hurricane season has been relatively quiet. But as we move into the latter half of the season and the tropics routinely become much more active, that can quickly change. So now is the perfect time to double-check your hurricane preparedness. And the JTA is doing just that. The JTA will work hand in hand with the Jacksonville Emergency Operations Command Center to ensure they have real-time information as the storm approaches. It all happens right here in this room. The mayor of Jacksonville, along with mayors from Baldwin, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, and Jacksonville Beach, all gather with representatives from various city agencies, the military, and JTA. This space becomes a literal think tank. Their primary focus is to keep the entire community as safe as possible during a storm. So as the storm moves closer, JTA officials will know just the right time to elevate their plans to the next level. And if an evacuation order is given, the JTA is ready to help move people out of harm's way.
As soon as the order for evacuation comes, we will switch to a weekend schedule to free up some buses to do the evacuation routes. But there is no limit, depends on the storm. We will have supervisors stationed at every one of those pickup spots and hubs to be able to get as many people evacuated as we can. But we are the #1 call for getting people out of those flood-prone areas. We have 4 designated pickup spots that residents can go straight to be transported to a shelter. That is Mayport Middle School, Jacks Beach Elementary School, Fletcher High School, and Baldwin Middle School.
Gerasi says residents can also look for any JTA bus on a regular route that has evacuation on its display panel. These buses will take you to a transfer hub where evacuees can then be taken to a shelter. And if a Category 3 or greater hurricane threatens to come our way, their entire bus fleet is moved to higher ground at Cecil Field for safekeeping. So once the storm passes, the JTA is prepared to resume normal operations as quickly as possible. In Jacksonville, Eugene Lindsay, JTA, making moves.
By now, you've probably heard about JTA's plans to use autonomous vehicles along Bay Street and eventually replace the Skyway trains and then expand the service into nearby neighborhoods. There are currently about 36 autonomous vehicle projects in the works around the country, including 8 here in Florida. Jacksonville's Ultimate Urban Circulator, or U2C, is one, if not the, leading AV project in the country. The federal government has been promoting the technology, awarding grants to further many of these projects, including JTA's. What you may not know is that along with handing out dollars to fund AV projects, the feds also demand that any and all projects be done with American-made vehicles and parts. Seems reasonable. We all want to support our country. There's just one problem. No American manufacturers currently exist that build autonomous shuttles for public transportation, forcing many cities to send back their grant money to the government. JTA CEO Nat Ford is taking a different approach. He's been meeting with foreign companies that already build AVs to come to the U.S. and Florida specifically and start up the autonomous manufacturing industry right here. This and other related topics will be part of an upcoming web series hosted by JTA called Autonomous Mobility Tech Talk, where industry professionals will discuss this and other cutting-edge technology. The web series starts later this month. Check the JTA website at jtafla.com for more information and airtimes.
When we return, we head back to the National AV Day celebration and check out some of the best autonomous vehicle demonstrations on display. That story next, when Making Moves continues.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Roll over. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique.
And your mother.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
You're watching Making Moves, the most honored transportation news and information program of its kind in the country.
Welcome back to Making Moves. At the top of the show, we took you to National Autonomous Vehicle Day that celebrates the advancements in autonomous technology. Now we want to show you some of the latest technology and hear how they work, including self-parking and self-driving cars, how one of JTA's autonomous vehicles avoids hitting a pedestrian in the roadway, and more. Making Moves producer Carlos Bouvier gives us a look.
Here we go.
Woo, that feels so nice.
And that sound. But also while you're in the vehicle, if you wanted it to park itself, say you're searching for a parking spot, it'll pull forward or in reverse for you. And it's gonna start sensing the available spots nearby. And when I have the blinker on for me, it's doing the steering wheel, it's doing the pedals. Hands-free, feet-free. Again, haven't touched the pedal yet. The vehicle's steering for me now. Just following that same path we went before. Puts it in park.
When you look just at the back of it, and let's come around to this, you can see the circles of the rear tail lights, that it has a smartphone feeling. The vehicle has 110 kilowatts. There's 2 batteries in the vehicle, and that's done for a couple purposes. One is for safety, and the other one is for maintenance. And it'll have 28 LiDAR, radar, sensors, and cameras. These are additions as we get closer to the front of the vehicle. More and more cameras are available. It sits on a space frame, tubular space frame design. That means it's rigid, but the rigidity is then improved by having an air ride suspension. The air ride suspension then gives us the ability to take this and kneel the vehicle down. The vehicle will be ADA compliant, so it will have a deployable ramp. The vehicle is unidirectional and it is rear wheel driven. This side of the vehicle is not as flat as the other side. This is what gives it a little bit of a more shape and roundness, and it kind of feels like a complete view of the vehicle.
It's a full self-driving vehicle with a beta version of the driving software. So that means like still learning and getting better. As we pull up, if any come on, they will come across as blue. It's gonna stop sign, engage, see where the lane starts and ends. It accelerates to the speed limit. I'm not doing anything. At a yield, it will wait indefinitely till there are no cars around at all.
Very cool.
This is guidance. This is our software solution to AV vehicles, autonomous vehicles. So right now you can see Tanvir, he's our RCO, remote control operator, and he's driving the vehicle from inside that building on the right. This solution is for autonomous vehicles whenever they get to cases where they stop and they can't continue on their own. So a leaf blows past them and they stop, and they phone Tanvir and they're like, hey, can I continue? If they cannot continue because maybe there's construction on the road or something like that, then he can take over the car like he's doing right now, and he can maneuver around that obstacle and set the car back on its path.
All right.
And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. We thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll tune in again soon as we continue to bring you the latest transportation news, economic development, and all things JTA. If you want to watch any of our shows again or catch up on ones you may have missed, we welcome you to check out our YouTube channel. A direct link to our YouTube page is available at jtafla.com. Just click on the icon at the bottom of the page. I'm Bill Melniss for everyone here at Making Moves. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.